Hello, grade 12 students. Here we start with chapter 2, activity 1, the hereditary traits and the genes. First, you have to know that chromosomes, they are made up of two chromatids and metaphase. The substance that made up the chromosome, they are called chromatin, either DNA composed of nucleotide ATCG or proteins composed of histones and non-histones. DNA by process of transcription is going to give mRNA. mRNA by process of translation is going to give proteins, polypeptides. Gene is a fragment of DNA that codes for a polypeptide. Alleles, they are different versions of the same gene. For example, blood group has three alleles, A, B, and O. Homozygous or pure individual has two identical alleles of the same gene. For example, blood groups AA, BB, OO. Heterozygous, or is called hybrid, individual that had two different alleles for the same gene. For example, blood group AO is A, BO is B, and AB is heterozygous. Dominant allele is an allele that expresses itself in the case of both homozygous and heterozygous. Recessive allele that cannot be expressed unless the case of homozygosity. In the case of homozygous, codominant alleles that are both expressed, they are co-expressed in a heterozygous individual. Phenotype, sum of traits in an individual. Genotype, sum of alleles, is called the genetic makeup. So genotype always codes for the phenotype. True bleeding is a line of individual where the descendant always have the same phenotype as the parents. Homogametic, individual that give only one type of gametes, like the female ovum, gives only X. Heterogametic, individual that gives more than one type of gametes, like the male gives XY. Lagos type, species whose males are heterogametic. The example about this human, they have X and Y. Apraxis type, where the males that are homogametic, example ZZ in the case of chicken and butterflies. Holandric gene, the gene that's carried by the Y chromosome, is called Holandric. Bidominant, individual that have two dominant phenotypes. For example, individual have blood group A and normal regarding to albinism D. So both of them, they are dominant, is called bidominant. Birecessive, individual having two recessive phenotype. Dihomozygous, individual homozygous for both traits. Diheterozygous, individual heterozygous for both traits.